got another chat there. Thank you. Kate from Los Angeles starting a kids knitwear line, new to the clothing industry. Michelle, no worries. Thank you. I've been on a few times. Isabel Stadnick, South Dakota. My daughter and I started a company out of Lakota designing Native American apparel. Awesome. Welcome. Mary from Prior Lake, Minnesota, working on scrubs. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, thank you guys for hanging in there, waiting for me to sign on. I appreciate it. So I'm going to go through this today, and just let me know if you have any questions as I'm doing that. Michelle says, bought your book and just started reading. Yay! I'm so glad. Anybody out there who has bought the book, if you are enjoying the book or you're enjoying the session, if you want to go on Amazon and do a review, that would just be so awesome for us. Of course, those algorithms of getting stuff out there, reviews really, really, really help. Okay. Hopefully you can see my screen. Today we're going to talk about the 4 steps of building your apparel line. I'm going to go through my introduction pretty quick. So my name's Mindy Martell. I own 2 companies. Clothier Design Source is one, which is a clothing factory. And I also own a second company called the Apparel Mentor, which is an educational platform where you could get a mentor, and we walk you through the steps of building a clothing line through development and manufacturing. Yeah, so that's basically in a high level nutshell who I am. We also have Remu from Maryland Uniforms and Scrubs. Welcome. All right, so I'm going to start with the high level process. And I'm going to walk through this process in a little more in depth today. But step 1, when you are making a clothing line, we call it design. So first you have to design it. Do not skip right into buying stuff and cutting stuff and sewing stuff. Really, you're going to save a lot of time and money if you design it. And what I mean by that is you are planning. What is it going to look like and what is it going to be made out of? Essentially, that is what that means. And again, I'm going to walk through each of these steps in a little more in depth. Step 2, then you start prototyping. So then you start making samples and testing them, and you kind of continue that process until you are happy with the outcome. Then step 3 is when the tech design comes in, where you create essentially a blueprint of how to make your product for the manufacturer. And then step 4 is when you can finally go into manufacturing. And I really like to talk about these 3 steps at a high level, because if you're new to the industry, some people think you skip right to step 4 and you go start manufacturing. And what you'll find if you start reaching out to manufacturers, they're going to want these 3 things, step 1, 2, and 3, to be done generally, unless they're a development company, before they can manufacture. So you can't just go from I have an idea to manufacturing. You have to get these first 3 steps done before manufacturing. I like to show this slide. This is just a general timeline of the process. You can start to expect it to take anywhere from 6 to 12 months, which some people think is, kind of shocking if you're new to the industry. But from the time you start thinking about your product and starting to work on it, definitely expect 6 to 12 month time frame before you have product in your hands. So just kind of prepare yourself for that. Think about that with your timing, your business plan, and all that. And if this is your first time through the process, I probably would say it's going to take 12 months. Unless you're familiar with the apparel development and manufacturing process, but because there's a learning curve that you have to incorporate into that timeline as well. A quick plug for our YouTube channel. check it out. There's tons of educational stuff on there. I actually have been putting up content on there for, I don't know, 8 years, I think. So there's a lot of stuff on there. And then also, I've written the book, this book Get It Made, and we have other resources too if you're looking for more education. All right. I'm going to go through this today pretty quick because I was late. So I, don't want to take up tons of everyone's time. But again, use that chat feature if you have any questions, just pop in. So step one, again, planning. You want to plan, you want to design. This step is essentially making sure all the planning is done. We like to spend a good amount of time on this process because if your planning is more well thought out, it's going to be less expensive to go through the prototyping process. So just as much as you can plan, the better. And really, that does mean having a drawing, some kind of, even if it's a super rough drawing, you do not have to be an artist. I know if you follow us on Instagram, I recently have a post just talking a lot about it's okay if you can't draw. It's okay. We just want to get what's in your head on paper. I can't draw. I've been in this business for 20 plus years. It's okay if it looks kind of crazy. It's just getting what's in your head on paper. Like, does it have pockets? Does it have a hood? Even if your hood looks crazy, at least like being able to visually saying there is a hood, which is great. Another part of design is just looking for your fabric and making sure it's coming from a continuous source. I have entire educational modules, platforms, videos on how to find your fabric. So we're not going to get into that today because that is many hours of content. But just know at a high level, during this first process, you want to identify what your fabric is and where it's coming from. And you don't want to buy it from retail. You want to buy it from a continuous source, meaning if you run out, you can go get more. That is what that means. You also want to be planning or designing your labels. So what that means is the actual labels that get sewn or affixed to your garment. So you're going to need a size label. You're going to need a care content label. And then of course you probably want a brand label, like what's the name of your brand? So you do need to plan that, and it's good to plan that in step one. You don't have to be, everything doesn't have to be finalized, but at least be starting to plan how many labels do you need? What do you think they're going to look like? And what are they going to say? Okay, so that is still something good to get done during step one. All right, so that's step one. So just to review, what is it going to look like? What is it going to be made out of? And start thinking about your labels. Okay. Another tip I will say to everyone out there, just start taking pictures of other labels. Like, labels are kind of weird, but if you start looking in your garments in your closet or at retail, you'll start to see, I'm sure I have a label in this jacket. I don't know if we can see it, but every garment has a different kind of label. It's made out of cotton, or it's made out of satin, or it's actually like, heat pressed on or stamped on. And so you want to start thinking about that too. And it's weird to think about it as early as this because you don't even know what your product's going to look like. But trust me, it will save you time and money if you're already forming opinions and kind of planning what you want it to be. Okay, step two is when you get to the fun part. So you get to start prototyping. And prototyping involves, first, a pattern has to be made. And so the pattern, if you're not familiar, are just the shapes of the garment panels that get cut out. So you're going to have, if you have a shirt, you're going to have a front and then a sleeve, two sleeves, a back and a collar, right? So then that pattern has to be made because every shirt fits different, and that all depends on the pattern. So, understanding that how important a pattern is, understanding that patterning is engineering because it's, we take this flat fabric and we cut it out into shapes, join it together, and it turns into this 3D thing that moves with the body, and it, depends on how it fits. So patterning is kind of that first part of prototyping. Then you have to get it cut and sewn. And again, a lot of you probably are asking, how do I get a pattern? How do I get this cut and sewn? That is a different webinar. That is also chapters in my book. It is also modules in the Apparel Mentor. I wish I could go into it all today, but right now, today, I'm giving you like a list of the steps because it would be too much to cover on how to do each of these steps. But having awareness of the list of the things you need to get done is the first step. So you get your pattern done, and then you need it to be cut and sewn. And one of the big things, and I have it highlighted here in yellow, is expect 2 to 3 or more reiterations of that process. So I've been in this industry for 20 plus years, and I have never, ever, ever in my life had a first prototype be final and approved and done. There's always changes. You're always going to have like a little tweak of, can we lower the neckline a little bit? Or I didn't like that fabric. Can we try another one? Or can we shorten the sleeve? Or can we add a pocket or whatever, whatever ideas that might come up. But there's going to be changes. So you have to prepare yourself that prototyping is a process of getting a sample, trying it on, testing it, making changes, and then getting another one. And you continue that process until you get one that you like. Okay. Then once you get one that you like, and you're like, this is great. The fun thing about apparel, now we need to offer it in more than one size, right? In most cases. So if you are prototyping a shirt and you get it all perfected, let's say you're prototyping in size medium, then when you want to go manufacture, you probably want to offer more than just size medium. So now you're going to need the pattern graded. That's what's called grading. Grading is turning the pattern into multiple sizes. And that's a whole process unto itself. But you just understand that you're going to need to be getting your pattern graded, and so you can offer it in multiple sizes. So that is the end of step 2. And so again, you plan it, and so far you've prototyped it, you've tested it, it's approved, you made it in all the different sizes, and we're going to move on to step 3 here in a minute. I did want to do a quick plug for my program called the Apparel Mentor. We do have an app that you can download, and you can start getting some free resources on that right away. You don't have to sign up for anything when you download it. And then if you did want to become a member of the Apparel Mentor community, we have 3 different levels that you can join at. And you can find that on the app or our website, theapparelmentor.com. And you can get all sorts of levels of education and guidance. It all is the same basic package of education. And then it changes to, do you not want to work with a mentor and be self-guided? Do you want to work with a mentor once a month? Or do you want to work with a mentor once a week? That's kind of the 3 different packages in a nutshell. But yeah, check it out. And like I said, you can download it for free as well. All right. Step number 3 is when we take everything we've done in that prototyping process and design process and essentially create what's called a tech pack, a technical design package, a specification package, a spec sheet. They have lots of names. But basically it's a blueprint where we're going to tell the manufacturer how to build the garment, right? Because now we're going to go get it manufactured, and presumably you're going to be making 50, 100,000, 10,000, whatever's in your business plan, but you're going to be making multiples. And so the factory needs that blueprint to tell them how to build it and to build it consistently so you have good quality. So a tech pack is very important before working with a manufacturer. And, I always say it's a little bit like, I liken it to a blueprint because you wouldn't hire a builder to build your home without giving them a blueprint, right? And so that's why you can't just go right to a manufacturer and say, hey, can you make me some scrubs? They're going to want to know, well, what do you want the scrubs to look like? Do you want them to have pockets? Do you want them to be a V-neck? Do you want them to be a long sleeve, a short sleeve? Do you want them to have a zipper? Like, what fabrics do you want them to be made out of? What colors? What sizes? All that stuff. So that's why we do the step 1, 2, and 3, because we're basically doing that work like an architect might to give the plans to the builder. And so think about the manufacturer as the builder of the product. All right, step 3, still working on that. So in a tech pack, here's some high level things that you'll find in a tech pack. It includes points of measure, also called palms. And there'll be a drawing of the garment. So this is kind of a funny drawing at the bottom of the screen of a sports bra that's kind of opened up. And you will see all these little segments. So for instance, here's segment B of the strap length from here to here. And then in the tech pack, we would say segment B on a size small is 11 inches, let's say, and on size medium, it's 12 inches, and on a size large, it's 13 inches, or whatever it might be. And we will do that for all of the measurements and say what each different size the parameters should be. So again, telling the builder how to build it and the parameters that it needs to fall in. Another thing that should be in a good tech pack is the construction methods. So one of the few things in the industry that is standardized is the actual stitching methods. There are ISO numbers for those. And you can actually download one of these charts on the Apparel Mentor website. It's a ISO stitch chart. But this is just a tiny snippet of what the chart is. It has many, many stitches on it. And it is something universally accepted. So if I wanted to use this stitch in the tech pack, I would say use a stitch 101 to hem the leg, let's say. And I might say use a stitch 301 to join the front to the back or something like that. So we're really dictating the quality. I always call it kind of the secret weapon of quality in the industry, but we're dictating the quality to the manufacturer in part by telling them what stitch methods to use where. Okay. All right, so that's step 1 through 3. And then once those are done, then it's time to move on to manufacturing. And the manufacturers, you get to control your quality with this method I've taught you. And then also the manufacturers are 1,000 times more likely to work with you and want to work with you, especially if you're new from the industry, if you come to them with a package of steps 1, 2, and 3 done. Because then, first of all, it indicates to them that you understand they are a builder and they need the plans before they can build. So again, you wouldn't just email a home builder and say, hey, can you build me a house? How much will it cost? Right? Like as a manufacturer, I get emails like that all the time. Hey, can you build me a dress? How much would it cost? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, what does your dress look like? What is it made out of? What are the sizes? What are the trims? What kind of labels are you going to have in it? Like all of that stuff. The builder needs that information before they can understand if they have the right skills to build your product and also to help get you a price and all that stuff. So always think about the manufacturer like a builder and what kind of information would a builder or need to build your product. Okay. Yeah, so again, we have the Apparel Mentor products here that we have those 3 different levels to join. Yeah, and like I said, one's self-paced, one is with the mentor once a month, and one is with a mentor, one was with a mentor once a week. So it kind of just depends on if you're looking for that accelerated mentor help or if you want to be self-paced. But here's a list of all the topics you get when you join the Apparel Mentor, and each topic comes with a workbook, a video that goes over the topic, and then if you've signed up for one of the mentoring programs, then obviously you'll meet with a mentor to also help you walk through that worksheet and those topics. Also, I wrote this book, Get It Made, which is all about building your clothing line from idea to reality. And in this book, walks through the entire Apparel Mentor program as well. So this is a standalone. You can learn everything you want from this book. So again, if you're very self-paced and self-motivated, just having the book as a tool would work. And then if you want to add on supplemental help and resources, the Apparel Mentor modules that you see on the screen with videos and worksheets help you also walk through this book. And then you can have that additional add-on resource of the mentoring program. Again, this is just a little bit of what is included. I just said that. Another really cool thing is in the Apparel Mentor community, we actually become a community. And when we meet as a mentoring group, you get online and you actually meet with some of your peers. And so you get to hear what questions they're asking. They get to hear what questions you're asking. You're also giving each other feedback. And then you also have that mentor there who's like answering all of your questions to get through, each of the steps and chapters. Yeah, so I think that's it. Does anyone have any questions? Hopefully I didn't miss any. No. Or any other thoughts, comments before we sign off? Oh, Kimberly raised her hand. Yeah, go ahead, Kimberly. You can use that chat feature. All right, I'm not seeing any questions come in. Oh, there's one. How much would you say an initial, didn't finish your sentence there, investment in a line? So I think, yeah, Kim's asking how much, probably what does it cost for an investment into a clothing line? That's a really good question. It depends on a lot of things. It depends on if you have any skills in the apparel industry, like would you be able to make the patterns? Would you be sourcing the fabric and trims yourself? Can you sew, like any of that stuff? And if you can't, that's fine. I'm just saying like that obviously takes away from some of the costs. But I would say I wouldn't even really think about it unless you could start with maybe $5,000 to $10,000. And that's really probably just going to get you through development. So, because to manufacture each piece, there's going to be a per piece cost too, but I probably wouldn't get started unless I had at least $10,000 or a way to get investment of $10,000, maybe 5 too. Again, it depends on how scrappy you can be, how much you want to do yourself, things like that. And then see, we got a bunch of questions rolling in. Mary says, I just completed a tech pack and would like to know how to get started on manufacturing. So, Mary, I would say, kind of going back through those 3 steps 1 through 3, and make sure all of those are done. Because if you just have a tech pack, then steps 1 and 2 are not done yet, probably. So that is something I would look into. There's a lot that goes into those steps. So again, I would, not that I don't want to answer you today, Mary, but it is literally hours of content. I would probably look at getting this book or joining the Apparel Mentor program or finding some other mentor to help you get through those other steps. Because there's also a lot in how you reach out to manufacturers and get them to work with you. And one of the best ways is to come super prepared with those 3 steps done. So if you have the tech pack, that's great. You have step 3 done, but do you have the patterns? Do you know where your fabric's coming from? Just kind of everything I just talked about. Do you have all that other stuff done? We also have a manufacturing checklist, I should mention, that might help you, Mary, on the Apparel Mentor website, under free resources or free downloads. So I would download that too, because once you can kind of literally see like the stuff I talked about today in a checklist form. But that's what I would do. And like I said, the answer's long and complicated, but that's a good place to start. So Ramu says, do you do small scale manufacturing? My factory does not. So my factory has been around for 20 years. We used to help startups, and we've grown and grown and grown. And so now we don't do small scale, which is why I've started the Apparel Mentor program, so I can still help people get that small scale done. And we have a lot of resources and people we can connect you with too if you join the Apparel Mentor. But the steps are the same and how you get it done is all the same. Isabel says, our mission is sustainability. What does it take to manufacture our apparel with an Ecotex lab? Again, it's just the same steps, Isabel. It's just the same steps. They're going to want you to have steps 1 through 3 done when you talk to them. They're going to want to know your plan. They're going to want to have your patterns, where everything's coming from, and they're going to want to have that tech pack. And that's how you get started with pretty much any manufacturer. Again, think of them like a builder. Even if they're Ecotex, it's still the same thing. They want you to direct them on what to build. Okay. Kimberly says, I'm at the point of production. Congratulations. Now it is about pitching the line. Is that something you help with? So about like marketing and selling your line, that is not my specialty. When you join the Apparel Mentor, we do talk about that a little bit, but we really focus on the development and manufacturing. I would check out Jane Hamill. She really focuses on, she's another gal who came up with me in the industry, and she does kind of similar to what I do, but really focuses on that marketing and selling your line. So I would definitely check out Jane Hamill. If you just Google Jane Hamill, you'll find all her resources. Michelle says, thank you. I'm excited and grateful for this mentorship community. Wonderful. I love having you. I have all that. Mary says, I have all that ready to proceed. And I did read your book and love it. Thank you, Mary. Mary, I'm going to ask you a huge favor. Would you go on Amazon and write a review? I get so many people telling me they love my book, and we don't have enough reviews on Amazon. So that would mean the world to me if you had time to do that. That would just be amazing. So anyone that would do that, I would just be so grateful. Ramu, also, I would like to connect with the other person who works on scrubs. Yeah, Ramu, I would say I saw someone in here who's also working on scrubs. I think it's a great idea. If you want to share your contact with them, you can do that probably right over this chat. That would be my best suggestion to you, and see if they want to connect. Kimberly says, do you have connections with Made in America factories? Yes, we do. I am not privy to exactly all of those sources. Again, if you join the Apparel Mentor, we do have a list of resources that kind of open up to you. But if you're not ready to join that, there are other ways. You can Google it. You can go to apparel trade shows, and things like that. So, but for sure, we do have connections to different factories. Ramu says, thank you. We'll check out the book. Thanks, Ramu. And I see you shared your email. So if the other scrubs person wants to get in contact with Ramu, their email is right there. Isabel, my question is, are there specialized manufacturers that manufacture EcoX? Yes. Tex Apparel. Yes, there are. And is every manufacturer able to source fabrics? Okay. Yeah, thanks for ordering the book, Isabel. Yes, I'm not an Oecotex expert, but if I were to guess, Isabel, it's probably just a textile, meaning the fabric certification. It probably isn't. I'm not sure if the factory has to be certified as well, to tell you the truth. That would be probably the first thing I would just Google and try to read about. Does the factory have to have the certification or just the fabric or textile vendor? That's a good question. And once you find that out, that's kind of going to answer your question. Like if it's just the fabric, then you could work with any factory and just, have them use that fabric, and that's okay. But again, it's been a few years since I've had to use an Ecotex certification, so I don't remember if the actual factory had to be. But for sure, the fabric factory has to be. The place that makes the fabric is different than the place that cut and sews your product, is what I'm saying. So the fabric factory has to, not sure if the cut and sew facility has to. At least I can direct you a little bit on what to look up there. Okay. Well, thanks everyone. Again, very sorry I was late. Have a great day. Oh, I see one more. Kate says, are there safety standards for children's clothing? Yes, there is. And you can use the testing labs for the children's safety testing. And there's a whole bunch of laws and rules around that, but there are some independent labs that test apparel and fabrics to meet safety standards. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, thanks everyone. Have a good day. Hope to see some of you in the Apparel Mentor. Thank you to anyone who bought my book. And if you have read it, I would just adore if you could write us a review on Amazon. It would be so helpful. All right, thanks. Have a good day. Bye.